So tonight we're kicking off a new short series that we're calling True Stories. And over the course of the next couple of weeks, we're going to look at some kind of crazy, radical true stories that we see in the Bible, and maybe kind of talk about some not so true stories that we see in some of our favorite movies. Now, I'm sure you enjoy going to see a good movie, and part of the fun of going to see a good movie is the concession stand. The popcorn, the soda, the candy, all of that stuff. We like to load up on it and then go into the movie. Well, tonight before we kick off our movie, I have a little exercise for you. Your leaders have some movie candy for you. One of my favorite candies, and that is M&Ms. So, leaders, go ahead and pass out the M&Ms. Everybody should get a small bag of snack size M&Ms, so go ahead and grab that. Now, I need you not to eat the M&Ms just yet, but go ahead and open them up. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna take 5 random M&Ms from the bag. So without looking, kind of just pull out 5 quick M&Ms. There's 3, I'm gonna look in there, there's 2 more. Okay, I got them, 5 M&Ms. Set the bag aside, you can have that later, but for now, take a look at the M&Ms. You should have 5 different colors. Now, what you're gonna do is, in just a moment here, I'm gonna have your leaders pause the video, and an image is gonna come up, a screen's gonna come up with the different color options for M&Ms, and then a statement or some phrasing next to it. And what I want you to do is, you're gonna take some time to go around the small group, and you're gonna share something about yourself related to the color and the statement of the M&Ms that are in your hand, okay? So for instance, if you had a red M&M, I got one right here, a red M&M, you're gonna share something that you love. If you have an orange M&M, I happen to have an orange M&M, you are then going to share something that you can't stand. If you have a yellow M&M, and I don't have a yellow M&M, you're gonna share a word that best describes you. If you have green, and I have green here, you're gonna share a fact about your family. If you have blue, you're gonna share a favorite memory, and if you have brown, you're gonna share something funny or embarrassing about yourself. So take a few minutes, go around your small group, everyone take a few minutes to share as much as you can about those 5 colors that you have in your hand, and then once you've shared your 5 things, you can go ahead and eat your M&M. And when you guys are all done, come on back, push play, and I will have some more for you, all right? So go ahead, push pause, have fun, I'll see you in a few minutes. Welcome back. So hopefully, not only was that activity delicious, but you also maybe learned something about those in your small group. Maybe something that you didn't know about someone before, or maybe you discovered something that you have in common with somebody else that you didn't know that you had in common. Or maybe you were just completely surprised because someone shared something that you never would have thought they would have been able to share, and you were just surprised by that. Well, I hope that was the case for you guys. I hope you had a chance to get to know each other a little bit more, because what we're going to be doing is, over the course of the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about our identity. You see, if you were to look around at everyone in your small group, you would see that there are, from our favorite foods to things that we like to do, to our families, to our personalities. The more we get to know each other, we would find that we are all very unique. In fact, if we were to kind of look at the scope of the world, now and even in history past, there's really nobody else like you. You are unique. And being unique is a good thing. It's a really good thing, and we're gonna unpack that and hopefully encourage you in this series to know that who you are is who God created you to be. But let's be honest, sometimes being unique comes with its own challenges. I mean, think about it. If we were to be honest, sometimes being ourselves, being unique, isn't always kind of maybe what we would prefer to be. I mean, for instance, just think about these questions like, would you rather stand out or blend in? Or have you ever felt pressured to hide or change something about yourself? Have you ever felt that maybe for who you are just isn't enough? You're not good enough, or you're not talented enough, or you're not skilled enough? Are you in a place where you know exactly who you are, or are you still trying to figure that out for yourself? See, in that little activity, hopefully you learned that we can't always just think that we know something about someone based on how they look. It takes us opening up and sharing things for us to really get to know each other. Most of us don't walk around declaring our fears and our insecurities, but most of us, if not all of us, have them. And a lot of times, those insecurities that we have are usually connected to our identity. For the next couple of weeks, we're going to focus on two things: who we are and who God is. We want to focus on who we are because for many of us, we have questions and we have struggles related to who we are and who we're becoming. And we want to talk about who God is because the more that we know about God and how He made us and why He made us, as our Creator, the more confident we will become in who He has created us to be, and more confident in what He has created us to do. And so to help guide us through these conversations, we're going to be looking at some true stories that I hope will help us discover who we are and who God is. So I'm thinking you've probably seen the movie Toy Story. It's one of my favorites. Of course, they've made it now into a huge epic saga with Toy Story 1 through 4. But I want to go back to the first Toy Story movie because we see something happening in that movie that's going to help us with our story from the Bible tonight. And that is when Woody meets Buzz. Now, you know the story. Woody is the cowboy and kind of the hero figure. He's Andy's favorite toy. We kind of have this idea that in this relationship of being Andy's favorite toy, Woody is kind of like the man, right? But then on Andy's birthday, this new toy comes, Buzz Lightyear. Super cool, does a bunch of cool things, and we get to this scene in the movie where this song comes up, the Strange Things Are Happening to Me, and we kind of see this musical montage of Andy liking Buzz more, and all of a sudden the posters of Woody are replaced with posters of Buzz, and the drawings of Woody are covered up by the drawings of Buzz, and the bed sheets of Woody are replaced with the bed sheets of Buzz. And then at the very end of the song, all of a sudden we see this decision being made by Andy when he's cleaning up his toys. Who goes into the toy box? Is it Buzz or is it Woody? And we kind of see something happening in Woody as he's removed from that pedestal of being Andy's favorite toy, where Woody starts to build up emotions, feelings like anger and fear and self-doubt and worry. And he sees that all of a sudden he's being replaced by Woody as Andy's favorite toy. And it'll be one of these things just to kind of like see those things and watch them dissipate as they become good friends, but it doesn't happen right away, does it? You see, in the movie, those emotions and those feelings, that jealousy that Woody has towards Buzz actually builds up to a place where Woody is looking to get rid of Buzz. And you can kind of see the planning and the working in the mind happening to the point that Buzz, accidentally falls out the window, and Woody is accused by the other toys of trying to get rid of Buzz. Now, that's all well and good as a movie plot, but what if there was a true story about this same type of jealousy? Well, there is, and that's where I want to take us tonight as we start off our series. If you have your Bibles, go ahead and open them to Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 4. Genesis is the very first book in the Bible, and it's the book where we kind of hear the story of God's creation, how he speaks things into existence. We see Adam and Eve living in the garden, and then we see sin and the fall. But in the midst of all of that, Adam and Eve have two sons, and we're going to meet them tonight. Their names are called Cain and Abel. And something unique happens with them that causes one to rise up against the other. So let me go ahead and share this story with you very quickly and talk about a few more things, and then we'll let you get into your small group time. Genesis chapter 4, reading verses 1 through 8. If you have your Bibles, follow along. If not, just listen, and then I'll come back and we'll summarize everything in just a second. Beginning at verse 1, chapter 4. Now Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain, saying, I have gotten a man with the help of the Lord. And again she bore his brother Abel. Now Abel was the keeper of sheep, while Cain is a worker of the ground. In the course of time, Cain brought to the Lord an offering of fruit of the ground. And Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fatty portions. And the Lord had regard for Abel and his offering, but for Cain and his offering he had no regard. So Cain was very angry, and his face fell. And the Lord said to Cain, Why are you angry, and why has your face fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin is crouching at your door. Its desire is contrary to you, but you must rule over it. Cain spoke to his brother Abel, and when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother Abel and killed him. So let's talk about what we had just read there. So Adam and Eve have these two sons, Cain and Abel. Abel raises basically sheep. He has a flock of sheep, and Cain works the field. He is a farmer that grows fruits and vegetables. And the time came for them to offer up a gift, an offering to God, a way to honor God. And as God looked at the gifts, Cain brought some of his best fruits and vegetables. Abel brought the firstborn and the fatty portions of his flock. And when God looked at the offerings, God favored Abel's offering. He thought that was a good offering. But for some reason, when God looked at Cain's offering, he didn't favor Cain. He wasn't accepting the gift that Cain was bringing. And so, of course, this made Cain jealous. Now, we're not really told why Abel's offering was accepted and Cain's wasn't, but we do see a little glimpse of maybe why in how Cain responds. So Cain gets jealous over the fact that God accepted Abel's offering. But God recognizes this. And he actually says something to Cain about it. He says, Cain, don't you know that if you do what's right, you'll be accepted? But if you do what's wrong, I'm not going to accept you. And then God gives him this warning. He says, be careful, because sin is crouching at your door, and it longs for you. It wants you. It wants to capture you. So be careful of what you do. And the next thing we know, they're out in the field, and Cain raises up against Abel and kills his brother. Ideally, what we think about it's out of jealousy. But there's something interesting in this, and that is these words that God says about Cain's jealousy. He said, if you do the right things, you'll be accepted. But be careful, because there's something there that wants you. A sin that is eating at you, and it's gonna get you if you're not careful. And in this, we kind of see Cain's jealousy rise up and become the thing that leads Cain to do what Cain does, and that is to kill his brother. Now, maybe you're thinking, okay, jealousy, identity, I'm not seeing the connection here. Well, let me try to draw that connection for you. You see, a lot of times when we look at what others have, we find ourselves sometimes jealous of what they have and what we don't have. And if we're not careful, that jealousy becomes an obsession, and can actually lead to us, thinking things that maybe we shouldn't be thinking, and potentially even doing things that we shouldn't be doing. You see, the Apostle Paul kind of helps us through this in the New Testament. And I'm going to give you guys some time as a small group to talk about that. But in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, we read about the gifts of the Spirit that God gives to his followers, to the Christians. But an issue arises because some Christians are given some gifts and other Christians are given other gifts. And then what starts to happen is these Christians look at those Christians and they say, well, how come we don't have those gifts? And these Christians look at those Christians and they ask, why don't we have those gifts? And all of a sudden, jealousy became a real issue in the church because people weren't content with what they had. They wanted what someone else had. And Paul calls out this danger, the danger of jealousy, and he addresses it with them. And I'm going to have you guys look at, in a few minutes, at those verses in 1 Corinthians and kind of talk about them. You see, it's easy for us to focus on what we don't have. Cain did not have God's approval, and that tore him up. And if we're not careful, we can find ourselves in that same place, that of letting jealousy towards what others have that we don't have, allowing that to, kind of consume us and lead us down a path that's just filled with bad decisions. But part of our goal in this series is in knowing who God is, knowing how he has created us, what he has made us for, and why our uniqueness is a good thing. And so tonight I want to encourage you guys to take some time to open up and talk. Hopefully your leaders have kind of shared with you our governing rules for small groups, that what is said in small group stays in small group. Because we want small groups to be a place where you can feel comfortable opening up and talking about things that are important to you. And so tonight, maybe it's a chance for us to open up in our small groups and consider, who we are and who God is. And as we do that, let me give you some encouragement here. If you do share, be real, be honest. We all have insecurities, we all have struggles, we all have things that we deal with on a regular basis. And one of the hopes of our small groups is that in this time together, we can be real and we can share and we can encourage each other and we can pray for each other. Other thing to encourage you with is to look for the good. It's easy for us to kind of pinpoint the things that maybe we don't like about ourselves, or maybe look at some of the things that if we could change, we would. But it's not always as easy to look at some of the good things about how God has created us. And so tonight, take a few minutes to try to think of the good things that God has created within you. Maybe a particular skill or a talent or an interest that you have that has been a really good thing for you. And then I want you to dream big. To dream big, to kind of know that when God made you, he made you for a purpose. He made you to accomplish something, to do something. And sometimes in dreaming big, God helps us to see what he has created us for and what he's created us to do. So as you look at 1 Corinthians 12, and as you think back on our story of Cain and Abel, as you think about who you are and who God is, my hope tonight is that you begin this conversation of recognizing that your uniqueness, the way God has created you, is something special. And it's really something to be celebrated. And that leads to us having confidence in the identity of who God has created us to be. Have a great time in your small groups, and we will see you next week.